Okay, gentlemen, let's go ahead and debrief on today's situation. Of course, today was a tragic day, something we don't want to really talk about, but we do have to. The reason these debriefs happen is so we can go over what we did right and what we did wrong. Remember, no situation is perfect. No response is perfect, so there's always room to improve, and that's what we do these debriefs for. Of course, we did a lot of right, but we also did a lot of wrong today. Let's go ahead and use this to be better. Let's go ahead and use this to formulate more training so we can get better. God forbid something like this happens again, but we always have to stay ready. So as you all know, we responded to a motor vehicle accident at Robb Elementary. As soon as y'all know, it turned tragic as we heard shots coming from inside the building. Good job, officers, first responding officers, quickly advanced inside the school. You guys formulated and ran right inside the school, got on the radio, switched it from a motor vehicle accident to an active shooter. Good job on that. Good job advancing inside. It seems like you guys, the officers that ran inside, first three officers that ran inside, contained the shooter in one space. Kept him from going around shooting prevented more casualties by spreading the shooter around the school. Good job on that. But what happened? It seemed like once a couple officers started advancing, we quickly started retreating. And I believe the reason is because for some reason there was some sort of miscommunication over the radio. It turned the incident into a barricaded suspect instead of what it actually is an active shooter. Remember, guys, an active shooter is an active shooter. So our first and only and our main goal when we arrive as first responders is to quickly eliminate the threat. Advance on the threat and eliminate the threat. That way it decreases deaths and decreases injuries. But why didn't we advance? It seems like we were ill-prepared. Well, a lot of the officers that were advancing didn't have the proper equipment on. Weren't prepared with the proper firearms to take down a suspect with a high caliber automatic rifle. It seemed like the officers advancing were barely putting on their vest. One officer seemed like he barely had his vest on. Remember, guys, our policy states we should always be prepared, always be wearing our vest at all times. If we have our rifles in the back, have them ready, have our racks ready to go. But there's a reason why it kind of seemed all discombobulated, guys. Remember, always, I can't emphasize this enough. Remember our training. What is the first officer on scene supposed to do? That officer is automatically, more likely, the officer in charge. Until somebody takes that position from you, you are the officer in charge. So what do? Your first objective is to find the first 3-4 officers that come on scene, create a group, and automatically advance on the shooter. If you don't have the proper weaponry, you don't have the proper equipment, get on the radio, put it over the radio. That way the next officer that shows up, make sure that officer has it when he gets out of his car. And as soon as you see that you have the proper equipment to advance. Again, I can't say it over and over. I can't say it enough. Your main objective when an active shooter happens is to advance on the shooter and take out the shooter immediately. And guys, because there was no officer in charge, there was no group formulated to advance on the shooter, we saw a lot of standing around, a lot of people confused. There's no leadership, no one dictating what to do. Everyone was just standing, formulating. Guys, 70 minutes is a long time to advance on the shooter. I'm not saying if it would have got there quicker, more lives would have been saved, but the quicker we advance on the shooter and take out the threat, the easier it is to do everything else. And we know everyone wants to go in, everyone wants to be the hero, everyone wants to advance on the shooter, but we got to remember, guys, we also need heroes dictating what goes on if you're not advancing on the shooter. We never created a command post. That's one thing we have to do. That way there's a spot where everybody can go for information. There was nobody directing traffic. There was cars blocking the traffic. EMS couldn't get through. We had to call back officers who were helping to come move their vehicles because there's nobody there dictating the proper route for EMS to get there. I will commend y'all. As soon as you guys saw bodies inside those classrooms, those live bodies, y'all started evacuating. But again, it shouldn't stop you from advancing on the shooter. That can be dictated to somebody else. The officer in charge more likely would have already been advancing on the shooter, but the officer that was left behind could be easily evacuating everybody that's left while they are advancing on that shooter. Evacuating people shouldn't stop you from your main objective. Yes, we saved a lot of lives. Yes, we started breaking windows, but it seemed like there was a lot of lag time waiting for keys. Again, that's lack of preparing. We've always said it. Remember, go back to your training. Sometimes we have to improvise. Why aren't we carrying any crowbars? Why aren't we carrying anything that would open a door quickly? I know very well crowbar would have opened those doors quickly and got those bodies out, but instead we're waiting for keys. We're waiting for the janitor to show up with keys. It's unacceptable, guys. We have to act. We have to improvise. Remember, our objective is to take out that shooter. And yes, I do understand a lot of us aren't equipped with the proper equipment. That is true. That is something we're going to work on. We're going to work on seeing if we can find grants to get us more riot shields, get us more helmets, get us more ARs. We do need more training. We kind of froze up when it came to this situation. We can't freeze up. But again, it's three main things. First, officer on scene, formulate your team, advance on the threat. After that, evacuate, and but also make sure you're creating command posts. Any officer that's behind creating command posts, speaking to the parents, making sure the traffic isn't blocked to let EMS through. Remember, guys, don't forget your training. Always go back to your training. Well, that's the debrief for today. Let's pray this never happens again. But we do need to be more prepared next time.